All right, everybody, welcome back to the #1 television program in the history of the entire universe. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown. All three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Now, today I'm going to be showing you my entire Jennifer Roberson book collection. She has been one of my favorite authors ever since I was a kid, and I've been collecting her books, most of her books, ever since then. And I'm going to show you two series of hers that I love, and a standalone novel, well, one of her standalone novels, and a collaboration she did. Well, let's just start with the collaboration. I mean, Jennifer Roberson has been around since the mid to early 1980s with her started with her great series of Chasuli books, I think is what they're called. We'll get to those though. Anyway, she did one of my favorite novels of all time, The Golden Key, was a collaboration between Jennifer Roberson, Kate Elliott, and Melanie Ron, and this has one of the most gorgeous book covers in the history of fantasy, and this is a great Michael Whelan painting, and it just sort of wraps around with this beautiful wraparound cover. Not only is this book cool because of the three writers and the great illustrator, but I also got this book signed by all three authors when I went to the World Fantasy Convention in Tempe, Arizona, about 20 years ago. So that is The Golden Key. We start off with that. Let's move on to my favorite Robin Hood book of all time. In fact, I like this book so much, I've got two versions. I've got a little paperback version here. This is called The Lady of the Forest. And I've got a first edition hardcover here, Lady of the Forest. Just one of the best retellings of the Robin Hood mythology that I have ever read. It is written so cool, and the writing is so dense, and when I say dense, I mean it's like really detailed, like every leaf in the forest, every castle wall, every thought that the characters have, every bit of action, prose, and dialogue is just spot on accurate, and at no point in time do you ever get taken out of the story. You feel like you are right there in Yorkshire, England, or wherever Nottingham is, and you are right there in the midst of it. And I compare this mostly to one of my favorite TV shows of all time, which was Robin Hood, Robin of Sherwood, which starred Michael Praed and Judy Trott, and was filmed in the early '80s and set like up. They filmed a lot in Bamburgh Castle up in northern England, and it's just so cool. You guys probably know Clannad did the soundtrack for it. But anyway, this book really reminds me of that television show a lot. And I was reading this book when I was younger, as the same time I was watching that TV show. And maybe that's why it has a lot of nostalgia for me. So those are the first two books in my Jennifer Roberson collection that I will show you. Now let's go to these two series of fantasy worlds that I have become two of my favorite fantasy worlds of all time. And we will start with the Chasuli books. Chronicles of the Chasuli, Shape Changers, and I've reviewed actually a few of these books. So you can, if you want to see my detailed review of like Shape Changers or Lady of the Forest, all you need to do is type my last name into your YouTube search bar, followed by the title of the book, or maybe just Jennifer Roberson's name, and those video reviews will magically appear upon your television screen, or computer screen, or even your phone. I don't care how you use the internet. I'm just here to teach you the ins and outs of how it works. Type stuff into the search bar, stuff magically appears. You can find anything on the internet if you just type things in properly. Okay, so book #1, Chronicles of the Chasuli. This is Shape Changers. I know I left a detailed review of this one on my channel. Book #2, of course, is the Song of Homana, and I left a great review of that one too. And one of the things I love about this series of books that Daw put out in the '80s was I love the scroll work designs along the outsides of them, like how each one of them has it and it all goes together, and the spines all sort of match on the shelf. And I'll show you that in a minute. And then we've got book number 3, which is Legacy of the Sword. And most of these covers have a different artist, so I won't name each artist. But they all have the nice scroll work look to them, and then when you put them together on the shelf, they all look super cool. The Track of the White Wolf, the Pride of Princes, book number 5, book number 6, Daughter of the Lion. Again, different artists, but the same scroll work and the same spine design. That's important to me as a book collector. When I put my books up on a shelf and they've all got the same spine design, I like that. This one is The Flight of the Raven. And last but not least, Tapestry of Lions. And I can tell that that's a Jody Lee illustration, one of my favorite illustrators. And then we put all these books together, and we hold them up in order, and they all look like they belong in the same series, you know, because the spines are all matching, and it looks good. Now, I like this next series slightly more, actually, and this is the Tiger and Dell series, even though the spines don't all match, really. I mean, they kind of foobarred this one, but they still look like they kind of go together anyway. But Sword Dancer, one of my favorite fantasy novels of all time, just great. Tiger and Dell, the swordsman and swordswoman, the swordsman from the south and the swordswoman from the north team up together, and it's one of the most magical sword and sorcery adventures you're ever going to read. Book 2 is Sword Singer. Book 3 is Sword Maker. Book 4 is Sword Breaker. Book 5 is Sword Born. It's like a Jim Burns cover. And then we've got Sword Sworn, another Jim Burns cover. And we have Sword Bound. And I know there's another one that either just came out or it's coming out soon. So I'll eventually end up getting that one too. But that, my friends, is my entire Jennifer Roberson book collection. And I cherish each and every one of them. They are all super dope.